You and Magic Johnson
Yeah,
have always been close.
very tight.
When Magic Johnson made the announcement that he had HIV, I guess he actually called you later on that night.
He called me, that afternoon.
That afternoon. Did you know leading up to his announcement that he had it?
No.
No idea.
So check. We were in Hawaii doing the Magic Johnson. Remember, he had that. Albie Shaw was on my team with Bobby Jones, and we had like singers and Tommy Davidson and Jaleel White and the pros were the coaches, and it was a 3-on-3 tournament in Hawaii, and everything was fine. And then he hooked me up. He said, "Yo, man, I'm gonna have you host with Downtown Julie Brown."
Okay, for MTV.
MTV.
Yeah.
MTV Rock and Jock B-Ball, and I was like, oh, that's the time that Marky Mark dropped his pants and had his underwears on and got a deal from Calvin Klein.
Yeah.
And I just thought he was hooking me, saying I'm going to get married. I said, I can't go to the wedding because I need you to do this for me. So everything just seemed as normal as possible until that day.
Right, because when he made the announcement, was that before Eazy-E made his announcement?
It was 1991. It was October of 1991. It was I was in basketball. I was in camp. I was in a practice, and somebody scratched my eye.
Yeah, Eazy-E announced in 1995. So this was 4 years later. So this was essentially, well, I mean, you've seen people like Keith Haring and so forth, some of the, like the art world celebrities, the fashion guys,
Right.
Announce that they have AIDS and even pass and so forth. But you've never seen anyone in the urban world say that they have HIV until he actually made that announcement. Is that accurate?
Well, somebody of that stature.
Yeah.
So the difference, a lot of people, they probably said just died from pneumonia, not understanding what it was.
Yeah.
But when Magic came out and said, I'm HIV positive, it's entirely different than saying I have AIDS. So right. So and when he did that, and he was positive, and he was sitting there with his wife and the team, and all of a sudden you're looking at this figure. Magic changed the look or the attitude of HIV.
Well, completely, because at that point everyone assumed it was a death sentence.
Right.
I grew up in the 80s, scared to death of catching HIV.
Why do you think that's so?
Because all you saw was just death on television.
How many people you know
that died of AIDS? None.
Yeah, so it was a trip. It was so out of control. They was talking about how prominent it was.
Right. Although it was a lot more prominent in the gay community.
Right. And was hitting the black community.
Because I remember I was in the Bay Area, and I remember they were closing down all the gay bathhouses because dudes was just fucking up in there.
Right. They would always think it. And then, I was watching this thing on Showtime when it hit the porn industry.
Yep.
And how. Well, it not saying it's not a thing, but it's a virus. It was also talked about by Dr. Schrecker, where it came from. Everybody was jumping on how they can work with it and move with it, and it's, like you said, it wasn't a death sentence. It changed the look of it. Magic did that.
Yeah, because Magic is still alive and looks healthy and is working and so forth. And what's interesting is that everyone assumed that he was just rich and he got the cure, but I remember seeing a 60-minute special with his doctor saying no, he just was very early on the combination drugs, and he stayed with his regimen. And every so often he would drop off and he would start to get sick, and he would get back on again.
I believe that they figured out how to work with Magic and controlling this virus and lessening the number, his numbers. And I believe whatever he took and his naps and his regimen of working out. I was driving through Beverly Hills early in the morning, dropping my wife off in Beverly Hills. She works early in the morning teaching Pilates. Magic was running down Wilshire. It was 7:20.
Yeah.
This was the summer. I haven't jogged. I haven't run across the yard. I was like, and he was as if.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting around thinking, I hope these players realize that the boss is up training at 7:00 in the morning. So it's not going to be a lot of excuses you can give him. So he's always stayed on making sure his body was strong enough for his immune system to fight.
When he called you, what was that conversation like?
Well, it was a trip because I was saying I'd gone to the doctor that day, and our team doctor barely looked at me, didn't touch me. It was like, what do you think if a team doctor found out that a player was HIV positive? Is he supposed to tell the team? And I go, what's that have to do with my eye? And he's like, nothing. I said, what are you talking about? He said, your player rep. I said, you got doctor, patient.
Privilege.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you're hired by a company, then you report to the company. That's how it works. So he said, oh. I said, what's up? He said, Irvin's going to announce that he's HIV positive.
Oh, so you find out before?
I found out before anybody on my team.
Oh, wow.
Because I left practice. I jumped straight on the phone. I dial a number. That one's disconnected. I call that number 3. That one's disconnected. Every number is gone. And I'm like, whoa. And then he calls me. Yo, so I said, Buck, like, what's up, man? What's happening? He's like, don't worry about that. And he says, they said, yes, sir. So it was the next morning, because I was just coming to practice. The world was completely different now. And he comes in and he goes, they said that Isaiah, he gave an answer saying he didn't know what was going on out there in LA. They do all kind of things. And I said,
yeah.
He never said that. I said, I wasn't there. I said, but trust me, he didn't say that.
Right, because especially back then, if you were HIV positive, people assumed you were gay.
Not only that, you should be put on an island, a leopard island. You know what I'm saying? You had guys in the NBA that was saying when he came back, I don't want to play against him. Your teammates. I mean, we were completely ignorant to what it was.
Well, he was the only, because he ended up coming back and playing for, was it a year?
Not only did he come back and play, he took the Lakers all the way to the finals against Michael Jordan, 1991 championship.
And I think that he's been the only HIV positive player to have played, right?
Yeah. When he lost to Michael, all of a sudden they're coming back around.
Yeah.
And he comes back. He makes the All-Star team.
Yeah.
He wins, gets an MVP. You know what I'm saying? He's an unbelievable human.
Yeah, man. Now look at him.
Yeah.
Look at everything he's doing now with the Lakers once again.
Worth $6 billion.
And his, wait, how much is he worth?
About $6 billion.
$6 billion?
Yeah. So what happened is,
really?
Yeah, you can check it.
I'm about to.
I put it this way: they paid $2 billion for the Dodgers. They then got a TV deal for $6 billion, and the Dodgers are the most profitable team in baseball. And then he goes and sells his. Remember, he sold his bit for like $450 million just to be able to buy into the Dodgers, and then all of his businesses.
Yeah. Well, I mean, according to the internet, it's $500 million, but
his personal wealth. That's smart. So when you got, let me just say you want to keep your business low,
right?
And let the business pay for everything. But if you were to do his company, what his company is worth,
oh yeah, all the movie theaters and the Starbucks,
and he's the company.
He is the company. Yeah, man. So just a very monumental time in America.
Yeah.
About how people look at HIV and AIDS, and and then like a few years later, the Eazy-E thing happened.
Which was happened. Eazy had AIDS.
Yeah, he had full-blown AIDS.
Yeah. By the time they got to him, it was kind of hard to get into him and get his body to stop creating antibodies.
Yeah, man. And, in these days, because, aside from the actual medication that allows you to control HIV so it doesn't turn into AIDS, there's also pills like Truvada, which a lot of people don't know about, which is a pill you could take to prevent HIV.
Okay. So let's think about that.
Mm-hmm.
So they got a pill / vaccine to stop the virus from happening.
Correct.
So they also have a flu virus shot. So they give people the flu virus shot, meaning they put a little bit of the flu into your body.
Truvada doesn't work that way.
Okay, so how does Truvada work? It does
Truvada
work.
is a low level of the stuff that Magic takes.
Right.
See what I'm saying? So what he takes to control his HIV, Truvada is a very low dose of that. That's designed to basically that if you come in contact with HIV, it's like 99% effective in actually stopping it.
Wow. So everybody's going to be popping pills.
Yeah, it was better
Does
than
it do you pop before you have sex?
I think it's a daily pill you have to take every day.
But don't you also realize, man, that a lot of what they've done, and you know, I'm a conspiracy theorist. Well,
Yes,
I
you are.
question stuff. A lot of what they've done is when you say sex, you say disease. It's the first thing that comes into your mind with sex, and I think that was the design. I think if you were to check and find out how much whoever invested in the condoms, how much more is made since 1991.
Oh,
I just also say that.
It's massive. It's massive. And, you know, and you also have things, and I think Magic actually talked about it. There's something called OraQuick, which is a home HIV test that you could take.
Yeah.
It's like a swab you put on your lips, and 30 minutes later it'll tell you if you and your partner is HIV positive. So this is something you could take.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going unprotected with someone who's untested, this is just one thing you could do as an extra level of precaution.
I have to look into that.
There's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of stuff out there these days that most people don't know about. And I even have this conversation with porn stars, and they don't even know about it. So, you know, if you...
Well, they don't want... They don't... This is another piece of it, too, man. When you talk about popping a pill and how this came about and people not knowing about it, you see how we know all the negatives of everything.
Yeah.
But then that sells a lot of newspapers and articles and things like that.
Yeah.
So a positive push and to be a pharmaceutical costs $1 billion before you can even come out in 20 years of testing.
Yeah.
So that means they have money behind it. They maybe just don't want to save a lot of folks.
Possibly.